Good morning, everybody. How you doing today? My name's Andrew.
I'm Matt.
I'm Grandpa.
I'm Aunt Becky.
My name is Aaron.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Megan.
I'm Joel.
And we're some of the Veggie Boys.
And girls.
And we'd like to thank you for stopping by.
Good, that's good.
Welcome back, everyone. It's so nice to see you. At this moment, we have already got the farm market set up and filled up, and now we're just moving some stuff around in the cooler. Because we have limited cooler space, sometimes it gets a little crowded in here, so we have to stack certain bins. So usually in the morning, we have to move some things around so that everything can be accessed, which is what we were just doing. Since we got everything taken care of in the farm market, I made my way down around back. We're working on getting our animals fed. Even though feeding and taking care of animals is an everyday job, I never really get bored of it. I think it's just because I enjoy being with the animals and I enjoy looking at them so much that I just don't get bored. And that should about do it. Dad is putting the last of the silage into the feeders. Now, if anyone was curious where the silage is coming from, this is actually from the sweet corn that we had been harvesting previously. After we go through and do our initial harvest of the sweet corn, then we will come through with our silage chopper and we'll harvest it onto our wagon. That way we not only use the sweet corn for the ears selling in the farm market, but we also use the stock and secondary ears to feed the animals. It's really good feed value, and as you've seen, the cattle just love it. Well, everyone, we found out where Daniel was. While we were feeding cattle, Daniel was in here grading eggs because we had no baskets to collect eggs. They were all full. So I'm gonna help Daniel, and then we'll be able to get the chickens taken care of. Once Daniel and I finished grading eggs, we quickly gathered the eggs, and then I worked on switching around our feed bins. We ran out of feed. We just got our feed bins switched around, and now we're feeding. And now that we've finished off the chickens, that's all the animals taken care of for today. And now we're on to our next job. Right now we are in greenhouse number 5, or otherwise known as the cafeteria. You know winter's coming when we stop calling it greenhouse number 5. Now, as you guys know, these greenhouses are really important to us. They allow us to raise plenty of vegetables and flowers that we can use and sell in the farm market. However, our greenhouses often serve a twofold purpose. During the winter time, we either use them as storage or as a place to put our calves. Now, although we don't live in the coldest climates in the world, it does get pretty cold where we live, and these heaters allow us to always keep our greenhouses at a certain temperature. And that makes these greenhouses very effective at raising calves. When it starts to get really, really cold, there's often the chance that your calves could get sick. However, because we have our calves in the greenhouses and we can keep them relatively warm, they stay pretty healthy. Now, the cold doesn't usually bother them too much, but we found the wind does. And this really protects them from the wind, and it never allows it to get too cold in here. Now, because these greenhouses are so important to us, especially when we're putting calves inside of them, we like to make sure they stay as warm as possible. So right now what we're doing is going along the outside of the greenhouse and pulling away all the weeds so that these sides can roll down completely. Closing down the corners of the greenhouse so that when the wind comes, these don't flap in the wind. From a few years of the wind just beating these up from blowing through here, the edges are all torn. So we had to use some greenhouse tape to extend the edges out a little bit more so that we can lock these down properly. So the calves inside aren't getting hit by the wind, and so our plastic isn't flapping and breaking even more than it was. Now I'm on a little tape delivery. Matt is fixing that side of the greenhouse, and I'm working my way down to Dad. He's working on the other end. You got a knife? Yep. Awesome. Right. There.
Right up over, not like that.
Now when it comes to greenhouses, we have 3 of them down below the farm market. The greenhouses below the farm market mainly store vegetable plants and hanging baskets. Now after we get done with vegetable plant season in our summer annuals, we transition into fall mums, which is what this greenhouse was full of. These tables were completely full of mums. And then once we finish off with the mums, like what we have here behind me, we close everything up and we disconnect the water lines. This greenhouse will ultimately be used for storage all winter long, and we like to disconnect the water lines because then we don't have to run the heaters in here. It's a pretty big process when we start winterizing all the greenhouses, but once we get it done, it's done for the year.
I'm working at cleaning all the water lines out so we don't have any water in. So if by chance it freezes, it doesn't split the lines.
As I was mowing outside, as you can see, Dad got all the water lines disconnected, and he also got our fertilizer injector removed. Now we store the fertilizer injectors inside because they can break really easily when it gets cold. And we do have a few of those fertilizer injectors, so we really need to keep track of them. The next thing on our list is getting all of these pallets pulled out of here so that we can put stuff in here for storage. And then while I'm helping Joel with the pallets, the boys are working on taking out all of these old tomato hanging baskets. Can you believe it's already time to close up these greenhouses? I feel like just the other day we were filling them.
Yeah, it goes by so quickly.
But aren't you excited for winter?
I like seasons. I like winter.
For the morning, that is going to wrap things up. Joel and I are making progress on getting these pallets out of here, but we're also doing other things at the same time. To me, this morning didn't seem too eventful. There wasn't anything crazy going on, but working on winterizing these greenhouses is a very, very important job. And if we can get this accomplished today, I'll be a happy man. Let's go, my man. It's time to eat. Okay, let's see what we're having for lunch. Looks like chicken patties, and then Grammy made some fried cauliflower and onion rings. What a deal.
I love you.
Is that good?
One more french fry? Callie, one more french fry?
I really enjoy when we all get to eat lunch together. One of my favorite parts is watching Callie chow down. It just makes me laugh. Just got finished with lunch and now we are down around back. We're gonna continue loading these pallets out of the greenhouse. All right. Well, that works. Now we got a little extra room in here. We can put some stuff in here to store. We've got all of the pallets moved out and all of our pipes have been disconnected and drained. So greenhouse number 4 is basically good to go. And we're already filling up the greenhouse down here. We've got our mulch layer, got our bale elevator, then we also have another elevator over there in here.
You have to drain all the lowest spots because that's where the water lays. And when the water freezes, it expands, and that's what breaks things.
And believe me, if you don't get all your water drained, it makes next year a lot more frustrating. Now we're moving up to our large greenhouse next to the farm market. Now, all of our greenhouses have roll-up sides on them, and this is really nice for when it gets really, really hot. We can roll up the sides, let air through. However, as we start to get into winter, we don't need the rolled up sides. And it's actually quite dangerous for these greenhouses to have the roll up sides not pinned against during winter. We start to get some really intense winds as winter comes along, and we don't want any of our sides to break. We don't want our plastic to break. So we're gonna seal everything up. Can't get this pushed in. There we go. We just got done going down through and putting in our plastic clamps. And then at the end of the greenhouses, we have to take our wiggle wire and close up the ends. Now all we have to do is get this side of the greenhouse, and then this one will be closed up from the outside. Grandpa's getting old. He wanted to start at the easy end. Can you believe that? Oh my word.
Yeah, I think you gotta get the very end there.
Dad and I just went the whole length of the greenhouse and we got all of our clamps put into place, and then we've got the ends wired, so this should be good if we get some really windy weather. However, we are not done. We did see a hole right up here on the top side of the greenhouse. So Dad's gonna pick me up and we're gonna get it patched. There we go. This side out. Now I don't wanna go too far. I don't want to pop everything off here. There's the tape from before. Cut stops here, so I don't even need to take off the second wiggle wire. Now these greenhouses we have here are pretty interesting. They're actually called gutter connects, and they're basically, as the name implies, you can connect greenhouses with the gutter systems. And the gutter connects are very useful for people like us, because if we ever want to put up another greenhouse, we just attach it at the gutter. These greenhouses we used to have up here were 3 separate ones, but then when we put the gutter connect up, it allowed us to turn it into one big greenhouse, and it made things a lot easier on us. Now that we've got the tape in place, we just go right back in with our wiggle wire. There we go. And once I get this last piece of wiggle wire in, it should be good. You're probably thinking it's a good idea to fix this hole because we don't want any water or cold weather getting in there. And yeah, that's partially true, but the biggest reason why we want that hole fixed is because there's actually 2 layers of plastic here. And what we have is a blower between the 2 layers of plastic, and it blows up this outer layer so that when the wind blows, it can't grab a hold of the plastic and rip it off. And it also creates a little barrier of air, so when it's really cold outside, you can make sure that it's warmer on the inside because you have that barrier of air between it. So by fixing this pretty large tear in the greenhouse, that's going to save us a lot of headaches, and then when we need to worry about heating it again, it'll save us some money too. Yeah, I got my knife.
One more to go.
Kind of the same concept up in the germination greenhouse. We're just taking all of our pipes apart. This is our water heater that we use to heat our tables. We also empty this out, and we have to take a few connections apart down here. Up along the sides first and then do the top.
No, I do the top first.
You want to do the top first? Germination greenhouse is all winterized. That's a crazy statement. It feels like just the other day we were starting seeds in here, and now we're done with the greenhouse. We were telling everybody, so we remember, we turned off the heater up in the germination greenhouse. There's a switch on it. We turned it off. Guys, help me remember for next year so we don't go crazy. Thank you. Well, Dad and I were working on winterizing greenhouses. Daniel, Joel, and Petey have been working on filling trucks. Once we got finished clearing out the grain bin and winterizing all the greenhouses, we pretty much were done for the day. We've been around the farm market just taking care of little odds and end jobs and just making sure the girls had plenty of help. But now that we're at the end of the day, it's time to close everything up. We are now on our way up to the house. We just got the farm market all closed up, and we're gonna get ready for dinner. And we've made it up to the house. Grammy, what are we having for dinner tonight?
Meatloaf.
Ooh,
Bacon
meatloaf, baked potatoes.
Last is the corn on the cob.
Last of corn on the cob, and peas and carrots. Looks good. Now, before we eat dinner, just one reminder, if you are new here, please remember to subscribe. We can grow a lot of things on the farm. One thing we can't grow is this channel without your help. And another thing, if you're already subscribed, make sure to like the video. It helps us out a bunch. Well, we now have got everybody out here at the dinner table, so you guys know what that means. This is where we're gonna be ending the video today. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.